this is the GCN commuter session to help you get stronger. Now, I should probably admit it that I absolutely hate strength endurance training, and if I possibly could, I would always try and find a way to get out of it. But now, I'm training for the Marathon of Dolomiti, and I've been told that strength endurance training is absolutely essential, so I guess I'd better crack on and do it. First of all, let's warm up. Muscular endurance refers to the ability to perform a specific muscular action for a prolonged period of time, whereas pure muscular strength is a muscle's capacity to exert force against resistance, with no need to do it more than once. So for cycling, as an endurance sport, we want muscular endurance. A strength endurance session is essentially a bit like doing weights on your bike. So that strength training with a very cycling specific range of motion. What it means in practice is overgeared efforts. And by that I mean low cadence. So a cadence of 50 to 60 RPM at an effort level of about 7 out of 10, which is about 85% of maximum heart rate. Now in this case, I'm going to be doing 5 times up a 5-minute hill. But if you're just starting out with this kind of session, you could start with 3 efforts and build it up to 6. And it's worth noting that some riders do some really long strength endurance efforts, like 20 or 30 minutes. Now, a cadence of 50 or 60 feels really slow to me. In fact, I think that's why I don't like this training. It makes me feel really slow and bogged down. It's a lot like the feeling of getting dropped on a climb in a race. So it's got a lot of bad memories for me. So I'm trying to concentrate on good technique, and that means controlled power, really making sure I'm using my glutes on strong core and stability, and really smooth pedaling technique. As you can see, I've got all my commuter luggage neatly stowed in this generously proportioned saddlebag. There are lots of strong opinions out there as to which is better, panniers, rucksack, saddlebag, and as you may know, Si and I tested the different methods in the wind tunnel at Milan Politecnico. But to be honest, I don't care too much about aerodynamics on my commute. My main concerns are comfort and convenience, and I find a rucksack puts a lot of weight through my bum, which is not very comfy. And I don't have lugs for a rack on this bike, so no panniers. The giant saddlebag does make the bike handle a bit differently, and it feels pretty heavy uphill. But then the bike feels fantastic in comparison when I take the saddlebag off. That felt pretty terrible, to be honest. I mean, I'm the kind of rider that likes to stand when the climbs get steep, so for me, to stay in such a big gear seated just feels really unnatural. Guess you could say that that's why it's good for me, because it trains me at something that I'm really, really bad at. Anyway, I'm going to do the recovery just back down the hill, in really high gear spinning to try and remind my legs that they can be coordinated. So, to summarise a strength endurance session, 5-minute efforts, starting with 3 intervals and building up to 6. The cadence should be at 50 to 60 RPM, and the effort level should be 7 out of 10 on a scale of perceived exertion, or 85% of your maximum heart rate. The recovery time should be a bit less than the effort time. Just spin back down the hill. You don't actually even need a power meter. You can base it all on feel. And if you don't have a cadence sensor, then you can just count the pedal strokes, which in some ways is good because it makes the interval go by a bit quicker. So why is strength endurance like this so important, according to coaches? Well, like off-the-bike resistance training or weight training, the theory is that strength endurance intervals increase the power that your muscles can produce, both by overloading the muscle, followed by recovery, and also by improving neuromuscular recruitment. In other words, strength endurance training should help you to use more of the muscle that you have, as well as making those muscles stronger. This strength helps you to maintain power when you're very fatigued. If you do these strength endurance efforts right, they'll strengthen your core and glutes and improve your pedalling form and stability on the bike. In effect, they simulate long-seated climbs when you're too fatigued to stand, or maybe you've run out of gears to spin at your normal cadence. And these things are pretty useful to train when you're planning a long mountain sportive like the Maratona Dolomiti. Well, that's quite a relief actually, because I feel like I've been pedalling through treacle. But on the plus side, it's very time efficient. I mean, I'm all done and dusted in 45 to 50 minutes. I know it's doing something because my legs hurt for the whole of the rest of the day. Yes, this session can leave you with real muscle soreness, and it's actually pretty draining, even though you never get out of breath. So make sure you recover well with refueling and rest. And a bit of a tip from me is that I found this totally destroyed my legs, so I would always avoid it in the run-up to a big event or a race. And in fact, even if I was planning to do some high-intensity training, but then, I mean, maybe I was just being a bit of a wimp. I hope you enjoyed this session more than I did. And if you're interested in some other sessions you can do on your commute, you can check out these videos down here. For example, we've got high-intensity interval training, we've got fasted endurance training. Don't forget to give us a thumbs up.